You don't win every time, but you should learn every time. There's a lot of things you might have done different that were so subtle that you didn't even notice it. You weren't as prepared as you were when you do win. You showed up late, you were inattentive. The wife had called you on the way in the door and said, "Rup, rup, 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 rup," and that's in the
Mhm.
back of your mind while you're trying to say, "Good to meet you, sir." It's you
Yeah.
just don't win, but you learn.
Yeah.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Fitz and Franson show. I'm Fitz,
Yep. And I'm Franson.
and this is a show where we talk about leadership, business growth, and what it actually takes to build something that lasts without lying to yourself along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely not here for the hype. We're here for clarity because chaos, as you guys know, is normal in business, but staying there is definitely a choice.
Absolutely. And today we're doing something a little bit different. We usually talk about mechanics of scaling and operations and leading, large teams, but today we're talking about foundations that makes all of that possible. So we're going to talk a little bit about legacy and character and kind of the lost art of relationship selling.
Yeah. Yeah. And so today, as you guys can tell, we have a very special guest to help us do that. He doesn't have a massive social media following that I'm aware of. He isn't
No.
out there selling a course, but he has spent decades mastering the art of outside sales, building a reputation that most people only dream of, to be honest. So, as well as helping raise 3 sons and a daughter.
Yep.
And, just like pancakes, you never get the first one right, but he did a great job with the last 3 from what I hear.
Easy now, Jay.
So, guys, today we are joined by Matt Fitzgerald Sr., known to the family and now to all of you as Pop. So, Pop, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Matt.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Pop, before we get into this, just hearing more from you, I want the audience to know who they're listening to. Not a resume. We're not going to go down a list of accolades, but really who you are. How would you describe yourself to someone who has never met you?
I'm a pretty simple man. Pretty simple man. I like to treat people the way I like to be treated.
Sure.
And I'm also competitive. I do like to win. And I think those two things, when you put those together in a selling process, leads to good results.
Yeah.
Like it. He left the old part out. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. He likes to be old. Is that what you're saying, Fitz
No,
Jr.?
he does not like to be old.
I don't think he likes it, but I make sure he's reminded of it on a regular basis.
That is all
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Pop, I've heard some stories
Mm-hmm.
about you, but my understanding is you've kind of spent your career in outside sales,
Yep.
uh, home security, signs and
Yeah.
supplies, industrial coatings.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah, different industries, different customers, different problems. But really,
That's
from
right.
what Fitz has told me, is that there's kind of a through line across all of it that was kind of the same for you. What would you maybe say that line for you was that connected all of these industries?
Well, I think the line is you have to have solid listening skills and you have to have solid skills to ask the right questions, but you have to be yourself. You have to be trustworthy. You have to
Mhm.
be somebody that these people want to do business with.
Yeah.
And you can never take any of it for granted. You have to earn it and earn it every day.
Sure. That's good.
Jay, I'll add something here. His old age, maybe he's not as articulate as he used to be. So I'll pick him up here a little bit. One of the things I think that Pop did a good job, at least that I admired growing up. When he would, walking into rooms of total strangers, he would walk out with friends like immediately. And I think what he said is exactly that. He does a great job of asking questions and getting people to open up very quickly. And I think he does it because he doesn't fake anything, right? Like he will ask you questions and is genuinely
Yeah.
interested in the answers you're going to give him.
Mhm.
So I think that's a big deal, and I think that's something that hopefully people will understand through the conversation today about who my dad is, and maybe a little bit about where I came from and some of the skills that I have, as a result of watching him a little bit too.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
That's really good. Made a lot of friends over the years, then I can imagine.
Yeah. Still
Yeah.
have a lot of long-term customers that are long-term friends, and
Mhm.
that's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, Fitz, let me ask you something pretty directly. When you think about the salesperson that you've become, and you've had, just a few years under your belt, because you're still pretty young, but When you think about the salesperson that you become and consequently developed into a coach and a leader, how much of that would you say is attributed to Pop, and how much is you maybe figuring it out on your own?
Honestly, I will give quite a bit of credit to my old man here, both directly and indirectly. I think that having the opportunity to um, watch him in a lot of ways. And my dad took me on sales calls and took me to conferences at times. And I got put into a lot of uncomfortable situations for kids, right? And I think that that was
Hmm.
both out of necessity with four of us running around and only two parents to divide and
Hmm.
conquer, but also by design too, right? I think that that was something that was important for a kid to be
Hmm.
exposed to and have to figure out a little bit. So that's probably the direct thing that I picked up watching him and then kind of being forced to develop those skills early on. And then I think also indirectly, I think something that he did really well for all of us was giving us the space to figure it out, right? So some of the things that
Yeah.
maybe I developed on my own that are uniquely me are still probably a direct result of the idea of like, hey, you have the space to figure it out and make it your own, so to speak. So yeah, I think yeah, a lot, even though maybe it took me a while to, like the old saying goes, the older you get, the smarter your old man gets.
Hmm. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that really a saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Fitz saying it's going to be a quote on a T-shirt next week.
Yeah, it might be. There you go, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's
He
good.
he deserves a lot of credit for it for sure.
Well, I can't imagine that, taking all the credit, because I
I didn't say all the credit, some of it.
taking any credit, really.
Yeah.
So, there's no book on parenting. So you just kind of bring yourself to the table,
Yeah.
and you raise them the way your parents raised you and how you think they ought to be in the world they're in. I always stress with them, you know, given given the age that they were and the attitudes of some of the other people of that age, I said, if you guys get the work ethic, if you learn how to work and learn how to outwork everybody else, you will
Yeah.
be successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That is good. Work ethic is one of those ongoing conversations that employers are looking for when they're trying to.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been running an Indeed ad for 2 months, and
Right?
we've gotten 2 interviews out of it.
Oh, God. Oh,
It's been painful. So
yeah.
let's talk a little bit about philosophy, around sales. Just kind of, that's what Matt likes to talk about all the time. It's just sales this and sales that, sales
Shay's
this.
Shay's a marketing guy.
Who's a marketing guy?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so he's kind of a nerd.
Oh, no.
Yeah. 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 So here we are talking about sales again, Fitz. I'm sure you're happy about that.
I feel
So
pretty good
Bob,
right now.
I wanted to ask you, about something that really does sound simple. But I think it's actually kind of a hard question to answer in sales. Maybe for our listeners, you could just kind of lay it out in front of them, what you believe sales actually is, not what it looks like, but what it really is kind of at its core.
Well, it's a process. It's
Hmm.
identifying what the prospective customer thinks he or she needs and listening to what they're saying and then figuring what you have and how that applies to the solution for that, right?
Hmm.
No, I love it. I mean, process. I mean, Jay and I talk about it all the time, and it's definitely a word that I use, right? I think it's something that that we've talked about, a lot of times. My dad and I still talk on a regular basis. He, even though he's retired, I'll still call and bounce ideas off of him, and it's crazy how things still come back to when you work a process the right way with the
Yeah.
intent of uncovering, like, hey, what do you think you want, and how do I maybe help you understand really what your need is inside of the thing you think you want, right?
Hmm.
Because a lot of the times those two things aren't necessarily exactly the same, right?
Yeah.
For the person we're talking to, but that word is hard to define for a lot of people. Process, but it is critical to have one for sure.
Yep. And it can't be mechanical. It has to just be natural.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I mean, so you have an interest in this person from the get go. You want to know more about what's driving them with the interview you're having with them.
Yeah.
And and then in the back of your mind, you know what you've got to provide a solution for that. And you also, if you've done your work right, you know what the competition has that isn't ever going to get them to that solution.
Yeah.
And you can just drive the conversation in that direction.
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's really good. Yeah, I like that. And you, I mean, one of the things you touched on is just kind of the open curiosity. And I think that's so important to show up and say, "Hey, I'm just curious right now about what you want to get out of this conversation we're about to have. And I want to be the solution, but I might not be." And
Yep.
being open to that's really good. I
Yep.
know that, especially in the current climate with on the marketing side, right? Everybody is saying, we got to create this strong sense of urgency. We got to create this big offer with a hard deadline. We gotta push urgency. And I think that, I guess I would say my hot take is that I think there's a lot of sales organizations out there today that are maybe accidentally teaching their reps to be the opposite of curious. And instead they're teaching them to really pursue urgency over that relationship and that trust.
Yeah, I
It's
I I would probably add to it, Jay. I think that, I think, obviously, I think in our world especially, there is the data that points to we do need to get there quickly. We do need to ask for the business, but we see it time and time again. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it for sure.
Yep.
And the challenge that we have, especially in what we see in our world right now, is that there's a big rumbling that like the one call close kind of scenario is dying,
yeah,
and I don't think it is. I think it's just gotten a bad reputation by the people that do it the very wrong way, especially the managers that celebrate it like the wrong way, like the people that strong arm people and twist their arm behind the back and do or say whatever they need to get it across the finish line. And again, one of the things that I learned growing up watching my old man in sales is, if it's the right fit, if I've done the right things and heard the right conversation or had the right conversations, then I've earned the right to ask for your business. And it's the natural conclusion to the right conversation that's been had. So celebrating the conversation and the process is the right thing to do, not necessarily the number, so to speak.
Well,
yeah,
and that is another way to look at a one close call, right? You're going to be there the same amount of time. You're going to move forward in the same directions, but the end comes out differently most of the time because now I have a bond with who I'm communicating with. If I'm selling paint, the purchaser has these problems with paint. The painters have this problem with paint. So if I just talk to the purchaser, I may never go anywhere. But if I engage him and he's active, I say, let's go take a look at what you're doing now. Well, now we go when we talk to the painter, right? And from that, you can see there's the guys in the shop and the industry that I sold in. The painter was, if there was 50 people working in the company building signs, right? Making signs. There was only one or maybe two people that would paint those. So those 100 signs that are on a deadline to get built, they got to go through that factory rapid fire. So if your paint doesn't do what it should be doing, you're always going to be delayed delivering your product. And that's no good for customers. That's the root of the problem. The purchaser wasn't looking for a cheaper product. He was not looking for more delivery days a week for product. He could be, but the big thing was there's a bottleneck somewhere. The paint's the problem. It's not the painter. It's not the purchaser. They just have an old product that's not as good as what we sold.
I think it's an important thing, right? Again, at the end of it, Jay, we've talked about it, you at least heard me talk about it. The idea of like that second and third question to get to actually the root or the core of the problem. I think that's the closing technique that's not taught well enough today. Like that
yeah.
surface level thing is the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. In coaching and in being curious. I don't know if we've talked about it on the show before, Fitz, but I use what's called the why shovel. And they say you need to do 5 to 7 whys to get to the root of the issue in front of you. And so, a lot of people come in with a very safe first answer, right? You think about greeting somebody, hey, how you doing today? I'm fine.
Right.
And you just ask one more question. You say, well, what does fine look like?
Right.
Now they got to give an answer for it. And they're like, oh, shoot, I didn't think they'd ask another question.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And you get a couple of those great replies back. And that's like what Pop said about you really listen to understand and you ask great questions.
Mhm.
And then you're able to solve that problem for your customer and go, oh man, this is amazing. We just
Yeah.
figured out that I'm your solution.
Right. Right.
It's weird how we got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's weird.
But we did
So,
it together. Yeah.
right. And that's even better.
Mhm.
So, Pop, I'm sure you've watched industries evolve over the decades, and I've heard stories from your son that when somebody knocks on his door, his if his wife gets to the door first, she's like, run away, because Fitz is going to give that poor soul standing at the door the fifth degree, and maybe help them sell better.
Yeah.
But kind of putting you on the spot here, do you think that maybe there's a way that sales currently is maybe it's lost its way or incomplete or something?
You know, Jay, I see this everywhere I go, whether it's a restaurant or a store or something. Everybody's working, but not everybody is enthusiastic about what they're doing.
Mm.
And I think if people have lost their way anywhere, it's because they don't know any better. They're never going to know any better. They're not encouraged to know better. And it distracts from the whole presentation,
Mhm.
whether it's a steak dinner, whether it's something you bought at the store. If that person who's working with you is genuinely enthusiastic and helpful, that makes me want to come back, makes me want to learn more about what else can we do. So I don't know if that indirectly answers that question.
No, I like it. One of the things that Jay's heard me say this a bunch, right? That I'm unapologetically a salesperson, and I think that
Mhm.
what I mean by that is and I say this too, it's a noble profession, right? But profession, I think, being the key word. And I think people looking at whatever they do, especially, talking specifically about sales, or Jay on the marketing side, that is a marketer, like it's a profession, it's a craft. And Jay talks about being curious, staying curious all the time. That's a thing that I think is probably not just unique to sales, but is probably something with like the dawn of TikTok and 3 second, 5 second clips that we are on to the next thing very quickly. And instead of like diving into it and like wanting to understand it as best we possibly can, be better at it the next day and the day after that and the day after that kind of things. I think if that's something that, even in my time in it, that I've seen be different. And I've been fortunate to be exposed to some really, really great people in this profession that were just hungry for more knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that it kind of comes back to this idea that you understand that you're given an opportunity to serve the person in front of you. And I think that that's the big shift, and maybe that's the kind of the less enthusiasm or the more sour attitude or disposition is. A lot of people in our culture are there for the paycheck, and it's like, you can get paid anywhere. Why don't you get paid somewhere that you want to be?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Lots and
Yeah.
lots of opportunities out there.
Yep. Yep.
So I think one of these things that has come up a few times, I'd like to talk about it a little bit more, is just this idea of building trust in that salesperson and customer relationship. I think that trust is used too flippantly, but you got to earn their trust, right? They got to trust you if you're going to get their business. And so I think that it's maybe been watered down in the way it's presented to sales teams. But, in the context of sales, what do you think that trust actually means for that relationship?
Well, I guess it might depend on the industry, and I could be wrong with this, but if you're selling alarm systems
Mhm.
or if you're selling industrial accounts, a paint system, there's kind of two different things, right?
Mhm.
Because, but I don't know. I don't know. Pick me back up wherever I was. Will you?
He's old. He got lost.
He did.
You used to say to me all the time that you do what you say you're going to do, right? And I think my old man spent a lot of time in B2B sales, right? So a lot of it
Sure.
was um, in that world, which is a little different than the world that you and I are in, Jay. But a lot of it was we got a purchase order. We said we were going to deliver it this time. This is what the product said it was going to do. And I remember countless times, like, I got to get up at 4 in the morning to go pick the material up from the warehouse to drive it, across state lines because the driver called out sick today or whatever it is,
Mhm.
because I told them it would be there on time. That's why they made this order from us, right?
Sure.
So I think that that's, I had another guy that I worked for that said, "Isn't it great that we get, most people, what is it, deliver what they promise what they deliver, right? We get to deliver what we promise, right? Or however you flip the phrase." And it was
Yeah.
kind of a good thing where we worked. It was like the culture was built around like, we just do the right thing all the time. So
Right.
like we get
Yeah.
to speak with integrity on it. So I think that that's at its core where that trust, comes in.
It's good. They say that the sales guys are the promise makers and
Mm.
the operations guys are the promise keepers.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe what you touched on is this idea that the sales guy takes ownership of the promise keeping as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
You don't overpromise, right?
yeah, and you have no right to ask for an order if you can't deliver.
Yeah.
And if
Mhm.
you're going and if an account is going to give you business based upon your meeting, then you better hit it out of the park. You better
Mhm.
whatever it was, big or small, and you know if you can or you can't do it.
Yeah.
So, but if that happens, and you're in a big account, and you get one little piece of the puzzle, you know what? You walk it through the shop and the puzzle just gets as big as possible
Mhm.
because they know they can count on you.
For sure. I like it. Well said.
Yeah. 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 We've seen this at Powerful Media too. I have past clients that I don't even work with anymore, and they'll call me up and they will literally say, Jay, I'm calling you because you're the only marketer I trust. And
Cool place to be.
It is.
I will tell Matt regularly, I am not a salesman. And he's encouraged me here and there where he's like, my sales style is really the relationship building model of I just tell them the truth. I don't
Yeah.
promise anything that I can't get them, and it's pretty good.
For
So
sure.
I want to talk a little bit also kind of the opposite side of sales. The fun part is the winning, but salespeople don't win all the time, from what I understand. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it is hailing right now outside
Is
my
it
window.
really? Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that's hail?
Jay's in
yeah,
Minnesota. So
Oh, yeah.
it
You wanna go down to the
hitting the
basement or
window,
anything? Yeah. Wow.
clanking and clattering.
Right. Well, you don't win every time,
Yeah,
but you should learn every time.
I
It
I like that.
You should learn every time because there's a lot of things you might have done different that were so subtle that you didn't even notice it. You weren't as prepared as you were when you do win. You showed up late, you were inattentive. The wife had called you on the way in the door and said, "Rup, rup, 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 rup," and
Mhm,
that's in the
mhm.
back of your mind while you're trying to say, "Good to meet you, sir." It's
Yeah,
you just don't win, but you learn.
yeah,
I had a sales manager tell me one time, he said, do not get out of your car until you're ready and until you 1000% believe that you are the best guy for this call and that we have the best product for what they're going to want or
yeah,
need. And that's true.
yeah,
It's just, so you don't win them all, but you keep your pipeline filled and you
yeah,
never and you don't not go back. You to find a way to call them back. I got to come back. I'll be by next week. This is something you really need to see. Give me 5 minutes,
yeah,
and 5 minutes becomes a lifetime if you do it
yeah,
the right way.
I knew I didn't make that up on my own. A
yeah,
5-minute thing, Jay.
yeah.
Hey, look, it's an important thing. I think salespeople at times take that stuff too personally, right? The
Mhm.
no, and that's where it burns them out.
Yeah,
You're gonna get no a lot. You're gonna get kicked in the teeth a lot. It's not the game for the like weak-hearted or lighthearted or
mhm.
whatever it is, right? There's little victories in all of those no's, and there's something to
Yeah,
be taken away. I was with one of the groups we work with, Jay, last week, and I said, what do you think I like? Do you think I like winning more than I hate losing, or I hate losing more than I like winning? And they were really confused by the question because it's a really terribly worded question. I agree. But they were like, well, I guess winning. I was like, no, I hate losing. I hate losing. But here's what I can promise you. If we're playing a game, I don't care what it is, right? Whatever the game is, I can promise you, you will never beat me the same way twice.
mhm.
Like I will die before you beat me the same way twice because I will learn everything about how you beat me to make sure that it never happens again.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And the point of the conversation was we were talking about objections, and I was like, we've talked about this for 3 straight weeks, and you're still talking about the same thing the same way.
yeah,
Like you have to learn from them. They're gonna happen, but like as long as they don't continue to happen the exact same way all the time, every time, 20 times in a row, then you're not losing. Like you're getting better, and that's what's important.
mhm. That's good. So how do you help a salesperson pivot their mindset from because salespeople are just by nature competitive. They're
Yeah.
they're in it for the hunt. How do you help them maybe make that subtle shift to you don't win them all, but you always learn? Right? That's a big shift for a lot of salespeople, I think.
Well, every organization has their top dog, their top couple of
Mhm.
dogs. They've already worked through that process And it should
Yeah.
be not just a couple of sales guys squawking over at the coffee pot about, yeah, I got run out of the house last night, or, they stood me up. It was a one leg or whatever it was, right?
Mm,
You, there was something in there that could have gone one way or the other, but it didn't, because
yeah.
whatever the mindset you had when you walked through that door wasn't, I've got the best things. So it's just, I think you utilize the talent you have in your company and make sure that they're part of the teaching process. Why does Roger do this so well? I mean, look at the board at the end of the hall, and Roger's sales are all the way at the top of the chart, and Matt's are way down here, and Matt seems to be unhappy. Why would he be unhappy? Not
Yeah.
Matt, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. And it's just
Never good enough.
Different Matt. Yeah, no, I get it.
different. Just yeah.
Sure.
But
Look, I'll add this too. Um, the manager story, like about like, hey, don't get out of the car. That's great. That's important. But also, like, you need to anticipate the no. Like,
oh yeah,
Mhm.
expect to win, but anticipate that it's not going to be without challenges. Like, if you expect a laydown all the time, like, pull your head out of your ass. It's not going to go
Yeah.
that way. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the Roger at the top of the board didn't just like walk in with blank checks on every appointment. Like, he worked, he got better, he understood that there were going to be things he had to overcome. He was prepared to
Yeah.
overcome them. It's a hard way to make an easy living.
well, you know what he was like? He was. I always talked about Roger as being a doctor, because you're sitting in a waiting room and the doctor comes in, and the doctor is basically assuming the sale. He's assuming he's going to provide you with a solution, and you're going to
Mhm.
walk out the door happy as you could be, right? And
Mhm.
that was his mindset going in there every single time, every time. So it's that's the kind of guy you want talking to the guys that aren't quite getting over those hurdles, right?
Mm.
Or maybe
Yeah.
there's a great podcast they could watch,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
If you know any great podcasts, let us know.
I will. I will. I'm making the circuit right now.
This is
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
This is where I go.
No, Fitz and this is where you say it.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's before the show.
oh, you
Damn
mean
it.
like what?
We'll fine. We'll cut it, edit it back in
Yeah,
later.
that's right. It's this
I,
show. It's this
yeah,
show.
This show.
this one.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
that name and then that name.
Oh, Fitz and
Yeah.
Franson.
There we go. Nailed it.
Oh,
Here we go.
wow. Boom. Boom.
I'm learning
Yeah,
a lot. Yeah.
that is good. Lifelong learners, that's kind of like how life is always interesting.
There you go.
Yeah. I agree.
Part of the sales thing, and I'm, being removed from it a little bit. I hear the language, strewn about, but I've heard the phrase objection handling, and I'd love to hear your guys' take on it. Where maybe some sales training you guys have been a part of is that they really teach the sales guy to overcome the no or the objection rather than teach them to understand or learn. And yeah, Pop, do you have any stories where you felt like maybe after the fact you walk back out to your car, you sit down and you go, shoot, I just argued with the customer for like 20 minutes.
I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done that. Yeah. I've definitely done that. But I was never thrown out of a place. I'll put it that
Okay.
way.
You didn't push hard enough.
I took an account one time up in Rhode Island from a competitor, and because I just did all the right things, I took the process from we'll come in, we'll talk to I've got some product in the car, let's mix it up and we can spray it out and see what you guys think. Well, when that was done, everything that we had talked about, everything I said we could do, they saw it firsthand, and right there and then they switched. Well, my competitor came in a couple of days later, and he noticed that his paint product was on the loading dock waiting for somebody to pick it back up, and he went crazy. He didn't
Yeah.
bother to talk and ask. He literally was thrown out. So
Wow.
he was
I think when we've talked about it before. When you get objections, no's are different. Objections
Mhm.
are opportunities for longer conversations.
right.
Pop said it earlier, 5 more minutes, right? And if I can get
Yeah.
5 more minutes, I think that that's important. And if you find yourself in an argument fighting with a customer, that's where we as a profession get a bad reputation, right? That's where, I hear it all the time. I'm a great closer. You're a terrible detriment to our profession. Stop saying that, right?
Yeah.
Like, be better about asking good questions, be better about having good conversations. Like, I don't want to overcome objections. I'm terrible at it. Like, I'm not good at it. I would rather you never have an objection because we talked about all of those things prior to talking about like how you want to pay for it. All right.
Mhm.
Again, if we get to a spot where you say like, man, that's a lot, or, we want to think a little bit more about it, that's not no. Like no is different. And I can still talk and have conversation and ask you to tell me more about that. And, what does that look like for you? And maybe uncover like the hesitation. And all I'm trying to do is get you to a spot where you say, hey, there is something like that makes sense here. And I maybe just had a hesitation for no real good reason.
It's not really arguing, it's clarifying because
Sure.
somebody somewhere in the conversation, somebody's got a set of information and you're trying to convey information and there's a wall there. So it's not an argument to say you're wrong. You could read their data sheet and it will show what the dry time is, what the coverage is, whatever the bugaboo is, and you can look at mine right here and see the difference. Or we could just spray it, mix it and spray it, and you'll see it firsthand.
Yeah.
But it's not arguing, it's just clarifying. Because a lot of times the customer will have their mind made up. Somebody said, we don't want those guys because what was that based on? I mean, when you're selling product for one of the largest companies in the world, we don't have a bad reputation. We don't make bad product. And you got to believe that in your heart. You got to be willing to argue for it or just stick
Mhm.
to it, you know?
That's good.
Because
Good stuff.
it's your time. It's your time. It's your company's time.
Yeah, that's good. Well, a lot of this conversation has been kind of relationally focused with the customer, but kind of your philosophy and your son's philosophy, this stuff, I think that it could be, traced back, and you could point at people or circumstances that helped shape kind of who you are and your philosophy of sales. If you had some people to kind of talk about that shaped you, who kind of came through your life over the years in sales that helped shape you? What was it like?
So there were people like that, whether it was the Roger at the one place. I was hired to sell paint product in 13 state territory, and I knew nothing about paint, nothing.
Mhm.
And I told him that in the interview. I said, but I do know how to sell. And then the GM was like, I believe that. I said, but I said, "My one request is that I get to travel with your best guy for my first
Nice.
month." And there was an old cartoon, it was like, I think it was called Felix the Cat, and the guy had the bag full of magical stuff, and this guy literally went through a sales process with that. While he's listening, he was really good. I mean, he wasn't gonna get bogged down on something. He just kept it moving. And it's like throwing a line in the water. You're gonna, nothing's biting, pull it back out, put something else on, throw it again. But his time was his time, and he was going to prove to these people or prove to himself that he had everything they needed. So he never gave up. He never gave up. And if he hit a wall, he moved around the wall.
Yeah, I think in sales, there's definitely been for me a lot. I've had quite a few, but I think one of the things we've been talking a little bit about is like just a lot about like selling is like selling based off of your character and who you are, right? And tying it back to that a little bit, my dad's dad, grandpa is what we called him, right? But he was a big influence on me. He was a good man. He was a very very good man and great character, and did like just if it wasn't the right way, it wasn't for him. Like that was him, and I think that certainly did not get lost from one generation to the next, right? So between what I learned about sales and growing up with my old man and what I got from being around him was a big deal. I think that how you treat people the way you want to be treated and taking care of them that way, I think was a big deal. He ran his own electrical contracting company, and all the stories. I wasn't old enough to see that, but all the stories about how he took care of his team and his crew and made sure that things were done the right way for the customers that trusted him with their homes was, I think, a big influence on the way that I've helped grow teams and companies in the way we're taking care of homes as well too.
Yep. It was black and white, and either or. And there was a right way to do it, and there was no other way to do it. And he he was very successful, and everybody admired him because they knew who he was. Because every day he was the same person.
Yep.
That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good. Well, outside some of the more impactful relationships that you've had in your career, are there any books or ideas that were presented that kind of gave you a big shift in how you presented or how you carried yourself?
You like any kind of books? What was a good book that you read?
A good book? Well, right back here, this was a good book. So sorry, Matt.
That's right.
But this was a good book, Selling the Invisible,
Oh,
because
nice.
it's you're communicating the ideas. You're listening to ideas coming to you, and you have to figure out a way to take your product, your pitch, and it's invisible because it's just a dream kind of, but you're selling it. And then the other one, and this isn't staged. These are just happen to be I passed these down to Matt, and there was a book by a guy who was a speaker at one of the trade shows I went to. I don't know if you could see that or not, but
Yeah.
anyway, but the reason I bought the book was because he gave a talk to the group about selling and things like this. And he started out and he introduced himself. I said, I'm Bill so and so, and he said, and I got to tell you, I almost killed my wife today, right? Well, now everybody in the room is like, "What?"
What?
And now they're just everything he had to say. He almost ran out of gas in his private plane and had to land in a field
Oh
flying into
dear.
the presentation.
Nice.
Hmm.
But that got you into this whole
Yeah.
book, and it just, you know, again, it was a lot like Roger the doctor, right? Who just assumes a sale. It's just, you
Yeah.
assume it because you do have all the knowledge. You
Hmm.
have all the right tools to do this. And the customer who's a purchaser who last week might have been an accountant, they don't have all the right tools, but you can help them to be better at what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody sells the same kinds of things and they might all do the same kinds of things, but to buy from somebody who you really trust, you're buying something that's just golden. Mine's better than yours now, right? Because you conveyed the right information to make them feel that way. And that
Hmm.
is big because they will withstand somebody from upstairs coming down and saying, why are we spending all this money on this product? Well, we're really not spending all that money because using this saves us so much time in the manufacturing that we're actually making more money,
Yeah.
right?
I like it. That's good
Mhm.
stuff.
That's good. Well, I think interesting to kind of go off script here, but I think when you're a part of a great organization,
Mhm.
you there's a part of the script that is you sell the company story and customers, well, human nature is we want to belong to something that matters. And so I think in a lot of cases, the big brands out there is I don't wear tennis shoes, I wear Nikes, right? And it's I don't have paint on my walls. I have this brand of paint. And so I think that that's a big part of this as well is you really get an incredible opportunity to let your customers belong to something that's bigger than you, bigger than them,
Yep.
and you can both be proud of it. And a great organization isn't cheap.
Oh,
And so you also have that conversation about you could get it cheaper from a chuck in a truck or a man in a van,
yep.
right?
Right.
But you wouldn't belong to anything at that point, and
Oh,
we like to.
yep.
Absolutely.
It's
You're
good.
not, yep.
Fitz, I'm gonna put you on the spot here because, I think every child at some point or another has been like, "Dad, you know nothing."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
later on, we
Yes.
go, "Hey, Dad, I need to
Oh,
apologize. You were right about everything." So was there anything early on in your career that your dad was like, "Hey, you should probably do it this way," and you're like, "Heck no."
hmm.
Honestly, I think that again, I think to my dad's credit, it gave us the space to figure a lot of things out on our own, which meant failing at things too, which I think is an important part of growing up.
Mhm.
And I think one of those things was I can be stubborn. We need to make sure my wife doesn't watch this episode. She doesn't watch this anyway, but
Yeah.
I definitely I think I had the need to be like the smartest or the best in the room at times, and I think there was a conversation. He probably doesn't even remember this like long time ago now at this point because I'm getting old myself, but about like, hey, slow down and like just like be okay with like being surrounded by people that are smarter than you, like, and learn, right? And not that I had like an ego to be smarter than anybody else, but you're where you're supposed to be, like you're on the path you're supposed to be on, and you're far enough along in that, right? And be more concerned about like building trust and the fact that people will pour into you, and you'll learn where where you need to be. And I think that was I didn't need to win as much as I thought I needed to win as early as I did.
Yeah, sometimes you have to get your butt kicked, you know? Yeah,
So yeah,
you know,
I got it kicked quite a bit.
and
early.
but you get back up, you learn from it.
Absolutely,
You learn you're not gonna go back down there again, right? So, right?
for sure.
Anyway, that's all I got.
And your dad is there to kindly go, well, that sucked. Probably shouldn't do that again.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That stove was hot. What?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
I
get a
can remember
Band-Aid.
my dad saying, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm like,
Exactly.
it'll be different for me, I swear. And then I come running back to him going, I made a huge mistake. Well, that's a good segue into the next part I wanted to ask you. I told Matt when he said you were going to be on the show that I just wanted the entire show to be story after story of Matt being awkward and saying dumb things and making poor
All right,
decisions. So
we're done. We're done. This is
yeah,
good.
yeah. Cut. So Matt currently kind of sits in a position that he's earned, and it's well deserved of being kind of a respected coach and a leader in the industry that he serves. But we both know that there was a version of him that existed before this. And so I was curious, Pop, if you could give us any fun stories about what Matt was like growing up.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Careful, I'm right here, and I'm a lot
I know,
bigger than you.
I know.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot slower than I used to be. Let's just say that everybody grows up as they're developing, and they're having successes that just seem to just flow and happen, but you don't realize that you're actually working hard to get at it. But instead, your head gets a little bit bigger and bigger, and sometimes you take things for granted. Like let's just say that maybe schoolwork didn't at one point didn't really seem to matter so much. But when I got the eyeball from mom that the report cards had come in and it was laying on the table and I saw it and I went, huh. Anyway, we had a nice conversation
Yeah.
and it involved a shovel, but not swinging at each other. It involved a shovel and an opportunity to dig a ditch in the backyard. And I said, and the question was something along the lines of why. I said, well, if you're going to put that kind of effort in with your schoolwork, the world's always going to need a ditch digger, and you might as well start now and learn to be the best one.
This is not
That's
the way that story went, by the way. This is an argument
good
that happens
story.
regularly. I was met at the door. In his defense, my grades sucked, and I was a terrible student. But I was met at the door.
Not always. No.
I was met at the door, and he said, "Come here. I need you to do something for me." He walked me around the house. I didn't get to go in the house. Walked me around the house, and he had marked off a hole or a square in the backyard and was like, "Here," hands me a shovel. "I need you to dig a hole here." And I went, "What for?" He goes, "Dig the hole." And I was like, "Okay." And I start digging. He went inside. Hours went by. And I'm sitting
Days,
out.
weeks.
I'm sitting there going, what the am I digging this hole for? Are we getting a pool and this is how we're saving money? And it's the smallest pool ever.
Yeah.
I'm sweating, covered in dirt. And he comes out and goes, "You tired?" And I was like, "Yeah, the fuck is this hole for?" And he goes and throws my report card in there and goes, "With grades like that, you better be the best damn ditch digger you can be. Fill the hole back in and get inside." That's how that story went. My grades got a little bit better.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. And the hole got filled in. And the younger siblings, every one of them had their mouth just drop. Like,
No, they didn't. They were pointing and laughing at me through the window.
Well, that was when their dad wasn't
was-
looking at them.
it was a teaching moment, right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was a good one. I look forward to doing that to my son at some point, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure my dad did that to me too. But yeah, no, he was always the kind of person he is now. He's just really developed into who he is. He was a leader. He learned how to, playing his sports. He just understood the value of whatever he brought to the game. He could have a big impact on the other people on his team, and they would win. They would win. It wasn't just about, we got this one guy named Fitz. We got this whole group of guys that are pumped up there, and they all believed in each other. It's contagious.
That's good. So, watching your son grow up and now Matt is a really boring middle-aged man, right? But, Pop, can you think of a time where you watched him maybe in his career, or maybe just kind of a life moment where you looked at your kid and you were like, he's probably going to be okay. He's got it.
In his career? Yeah. I mean, just the stories that he would tell me stories about, places he was going to, conferences or just wins he had at the company he was at, whatever the company was. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, it, the mind's sharp, the work ethic's there. He is going places.
Downstairs to have dinner soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll be out on the street after this.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a bunch of people going to be commenting about like, how's the ditch digging going after this? For sure. Yeah, no, he's done a good job of letting me know when he's proud of some of the stuff I've done. So it's cool.
Good. One of the things that Matt and I like to talk about on the show, and I think it'd be nice if we could talk about it more, but just is the reality that you know you as a human, you aren't your job title, you aren't your career, and so in the case of both of you guys with your careers, you're not just a salesperson. And so, if I could maybe, thinking about the people that are listening to this right now, and maybe they're out there trying to build something big, but also be, a good parent, a father or a mother. When you look at that, what do you feel like or how did you view your job as a dad, not as a salesperson, but as a dad?
Well, the job as a dad was the all important job,
Yeah.
and the work was a means to do the things that we wanted to do. So if I couldn't be good at one, I could not be good at the other. It's so you're driven, and your kids are your everything. It's just and that's so I like one. Matt has a cousin and Bill, right?
For the record, I have 19 cousins.
Right. One of his cousins is named Bill, and he's what do they have? 4 girls now? 4, 5 girls?
Yeah,
Whatever
I
they
don't know.
have.
He's crazy like Jay. Jay's got 27 kids.
Nice.
Yeah. 5 sons, not
Right.
27, but 5.
Wow. That's well, man, you got your own team right there, So,
Pretty much. Yep.
yeah, it's, but you know what? He's a natural I almost a natural salesperson. I don't know what that really is, but he's just a natural person. But you know how it is when you're out on the road all day long and you come in and sometimes you won, sometimes you didn't. But he won't get out of his car to go in the house until he's wiped that all out and he walks through the door and he's got the big smile on his face and he's everybody's best dad when he walks in that door.
Yeah.
And that's the way he approaches his calls too, his sales calls.
That's good.
Yeah. I think, Dad did a good job of that, on the road with what he did. But when he came home, I think that time was still, dad and kid time. And I think it's easier said than done. I think, Jay, we've talked about that before. And the idea of work-life balance it's not easy and almost impossible to really truly do. You have to be disconnected from one or the other at times. If you don't do that, you won't be good at either. So I think you have to find the time to do one really well and then turn it off and go do the other really well. And if you can do those things, you're doing okay. And the reality of it is my younger brother has 2 kids. And I think the advice I gave him when he was having his first kid is like, we're all getting it right and screwing this up at the exact same time.
Yeah. 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 That's good. Well, time flies when you're having fun, and
Yeah.
we're already coming up on an hour, which has been great. But
Wow.
I'd like to ask maybe a few more questions to just kind of close this out. So, if you could, maybe share with us when you look back at everything, can you think of maybe a moment that you'd like to share with us that you were most proud of? It doesn't have to be professional. It can be about you. It can be about someone else. It can be kind of anything, but something where you just felt pride swell inside of you in the right kind of way.
Well, I mean, with Matt, it would definitely be athletic was one. Just some games that were just incredible and the feats that were performed. What was it? They were playing with a chance to win and go to the College World Series. And Matt said, "I'm pitching." And he went out there and he was pitching. And pitch counts in baseball can be, you know, 60, 80. hundreds a ton, right? Right. So the game did it go to extra innings? It went to extra innings. The coach comes out because he was trying to find somebody to go in to finish the game. Meanwhile, Matt's run out to the mound. And he's going. And he comes out there and he says, Matt, do you know how many pitches you've thrown? And Matt just said, thank you, coach. I got a few more to throw. Then we're done. And something to that effect, right, Matt? And
It was just like that, clean. No,
clean. No, there was no. And after the game, 155 pitches later, which
Wow.
they won,
Mm.
the coach walked up to me and said, "Don't hate me, don't hate me." But they won, and it was a heck of a game. I mean, it was pitched well. There was some great defensive plays that guys made because everybody was just pumped up by everybody else, and certainly that's it. And then I would say this, what you guys are doing right here, I'm really proud of him for what he's doing and what you guys are doing. And it's just fun to see it and watch it. And especially knowing that you're having great success and getting where you want to get to.
Good. I like that.
I'll ask you one. What do you hope people remember you for? Not your career, but you.
This is the only thing that matters to me. I hope that people remember me for the kids that I raised, and the lives and the lives they have and the people they become. That's it.
It's good. Your grandkids are going to listen to this someday, I'm sure. So
You're
that's
gonna
good
say
stuff.
Pop was a movie star. He was on TV,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
Yeah. If
Yeah.
we're going to assume that they're going to listen to this someday, is there anything that you'd like to maybe have them hear from you right now in this moment on this show?
Wow. Who thinks about stuff like that? I would just tell them that kindness is the word, and you treat people the way you want to be treated. You work hard at everything you do, and you take care of the people that are important to you.
Like it. Pop,
Yeah.
thank you. Not for the show, but
Thank you guys, and I know there's probably a big pile of the reel will be on the editing floor tomorrow, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Made an old man happy.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it, and thank you for more than the show, but for everything. I think it's a Father's Day episode we'll put out. More than teaching me about sales and how to be a professional in that world, but just what it is to be a dad and a man and a good husband and all the things that I think I am who I am because of you. So I appreciate it, Pop.
Well, that's great, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and for everyone listening, we talk a lot on this show about strategy and scale. We're in the business of growing businesses and we talk about what it takes to grow and build a good business. But what this episode really got to cover and what Pop got to share with us is the stuff that's underneath it. The belief system and the character and the reason that any of this stuff matters that we're doing and it's the foundation of great organizations and great people and
Yeah.
everything else ends up being execution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. Look, obviously, got to give a little bit of a plug here too at the end of our shows. So, if you want to build a team that operates at that level that we're talking about, if you want some coaching and training that goes beyond kind of some of those tactics and actually develops your people, book a call. Be happy to help in any way that I can.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're growing your organization and you might feel like it's starting to outgrow you or you got a larger sales team and you want a marketing partner, which is what Powerful gets to do, somebody that actually understands what it takes to scale, feel free to check out our website, powerful.com, and book a time with Fitz or myself to do an audit of your systems and what you're doing.
Yeah. Hey, look, and if this episode hit home for you, share it. We normally say with a leader, but maybe share it with a father today, right?
Yeah.
Send it to a sales leader too. Send it to someone who needs to be reminded of the fact that character is still probably the most powerful tool you have, the thing you can bring into a room and change it. But do us a favor and like and subscribe and leave us a review, a comment. We always read them, right? We appreciate every single one of you out there. Until next time, keep building and keep growing, and happy hunting, everybody.
That's right. We'll see you next time on the Fitz and Franson Show.
Same mic, same rhyme, big laughs, big talks. Yeah, we're built different, all right. Thanks for watching. Now get back to work.